Hi, this is Steve at Specialty Auto again. We're now prepared to show you the fourth solution to the leaking Speedster. But before we do, let's review one thing so that all things are considered to be compared equally. We have a criteria. The criteria is, number one, effectiveness. The system, whatever's proposed, should have an effective value to it. It should work. It should seal out air, seal out water, seal out cold air, rain, whatever. The second one is convenience. This thing should be used conveniently. It shouldn't have to go to an exercise to install it, uninstall it, move flaps around, anything that might be an inconvenience that would become a problem in continued use. Obstruction. The use of the solution should not obstruct the use of the car in any way. If anything, it should enhance it. Storage. Storage is a problem with Speedsters, so anything that requires additional storage has to be considered as part of the criteria. Appearance. The feature should enhance the appearance of the car and not detract from it. So, same criteria. Let's do a review. This particular system here was created by one of our very popular manufacturers of these cars, and it is actually a roll-up, roll-down window. I presume they're powered. It could be by hand crank, but either way, it's still roll up and roll down. It has some very good advantages. The fact that it rolls up and down is one of the advantages. It meets our convenience criteria. It also meets the appearance criteria in that it doesn't detract from the appearance of the car in any way, because it disappears when you're not using it, and when it's up, it's quite attractive. It also suits our storage criteria. It stores away in the door. It doesn't bother any of the storage requirements of the car. So the only thing that's really left is effectiveness. And let's review that. Let's take a look at it as we have done all of these systems. The first area of concern is the windshield. It's always the windshield where we begin. The other ones use flaps. Look at what this one does. There is a thick rubber insulator that goes along and glued to the windshield frame. The window glass lays against that. And that's a key word. It lays on top of that rubber. It's not behind the windshield. It lays on top of the windshield frame. That's an advantage when you're closing the door, and it's an advantage in not having to tuck the glass in so far. But there is one problem, and this one could or could not affect the operation of the car depending upon how you use it. And that is, under high-speed driving, or even under conditions of passing a truck or a truck passing you, the pressure differences will oftentimes cause a window to lift up and out. Everyone's experienced that who's had any kind of a car. Even modern cars, their windows tend to lift out when that happens. On this car, it would be critical because since the window glass is laying on top of the rubber, it will allow migration of air and water into the car. So that's a very, very serious problem that has to be addressed in the installation of the car as well as the closing of the door. We continue on here by looking at the flap. The flap is the same flap that's been used on all the other systems. No different. As you can see, the flap lifts up. When you lift it, the same lifting will occur during high-speed driving where the wind. Behind that flap is the same backup flap, which is nothing more than provide a surface for the glass to rest upon. That is no more effective than it is on any of the system we've used. Back in the back, we have a problem with the air scoop, as we've called it. Nothing has changed there. The air will still blow in there. It'll circulate through the two flaps and into the car. But this particular system, with all of its good points, has another bad point. The bad point is back here. This area back here is created because the window cannot fill the void between the flap, because you have to keep the window inside the door. And the gap that's created there is caused by that reason. So there is an unavoidable void which does not really meet the criteria of sealing. So that one is something that's going to have to be considered in your decision process. We also need to look one more time at the rubber. This rubber can deteriorate in time, which could be replaced, but the point here at the top where leakage has occurred is still there. Now I know this is difficult to gather all in as a mock-up, so what I've done is I have found some file photos that show this on a real car, and you'll notice on the photo there are 4 yellow arrows. Those 4 yellow arrows point to the areas of which I have pointed to on my mock-up. The lower forward arrow is pointing to the point at which they've done a very good job at sealing out the migration of water in that area, which is one of the bigger problems. The second arrow points to the top, that point where the 3 things come together, side curtain, top, and windscreen, and you can see that there's daylight shining through there, which is unavoidable. You'll also notice that the flap, how it goes along the top of the glass in the up position, is broken away from it. This will occur with age and shrinking of the material slightly, inappropriate stitching of the top, or just failing to pull the top down tightly. The area that is of equal concern to me is the area in the back at the corner of the top and the window where you have a void. That is an area of great leakage and something that is unavoidable. Also notice in the second picture, you can see how far outboard the window is, and you can see by following the groove cut for the window that it is laying on top of that rubber seal as we pointed out in our demonstration. And the third picture shows another concern, is that the impression that the window has made at the top of the rubber seal shows that there's good contact there, but as you progress down, you can see there's very little, if any, contact being made in the lower half. Very difficult to get something of this nature to seal equally throughout the whole length, which means that there's very possible leakage is going to occur at that lower area because of the lack of proper contact. But those are real cars in the real world. Now, we'll review the criteria again. Effectiveness, it gets an A only because it seals in places that the other tops or the other side curtains did not, but it does not seal any better in the other areas. Convenience, very convenient. Obstruction, produces no obstructions. Storage, no storage requirements. Appearance, this is something we need to talk about. Appearance of the top when it's in, or the glass when it's up is quite good. Appearance of the glass when it's down is quite good. However, let's remove the glass since we can't roll it down. And let's look at this rubber that is so important to the operation of this system. It stays there. It doesn't move, and the photographs that we showed show it there. If this is not considered a detriment to the appearance of the car by an individual, then there's no concern. However, so many people that I talk with find that the windshield and the top are such an effective, important part of the description of the car that anything that you do to that to distract from it is negative. And I think that this, in my estimation, is a negative, but it's up to the individual owner to make that determination. But it is something that you need to consider when you're deciding which of these systems that are being proposed is going to be your method for sealing your Speedster. All in all, very good presentation, and probably is one of the better ones out there.